very warm welcome. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. China's President Xi Jinping is reportedly set to speak to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. According to a leading US news daily, this meeting is expected to happen soon after the Chinese president visits Moscow next week to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin. And soon after his meeting with Putin, the Chinese president will address the Ukrainian president in a virtual meet. If it happens, this meeting will be a first for China since the Ukraine war. Not to forget, the Chinese president will be on his first tour after clinching a third term in China. The move is meant to build on China's global diplomatic clout. So much so, Xi is believed to consider visiting other European countries too as part of his Russia trip. But trust Beijing to land a diplomatic coup if a direct conversation between Xi Jinping and Zelensky does take place. One that could bolster China's credentials as a global power broker, which so far was met with skepticism in Europe. Perhaps that's why Mr. Xi is considering visiting other European countries as part of his trip to Russia. It should be noted that only last week, China facilitated a diplomatic breakthrough between Saudi Arabia and Iran. The two Middle Eastern rivals renewed ties after 7 years of estrangement, that too in an agreement brokered by Beijing. The effort is China's first direct intervention in the politics of Middle East. China's message to the United States is crystal clear, that it is a rising diplomatic presence in the Gulf, a power zone that so far has been dominated by the American military might. Moreover, the Saudi-Iran deal adds to a perception of Chinese power and influence around the world, furthering the narrative of a shrinking US global presence. But as far as mediating the Ukraine war is concerned, the efforts have been in the making for months. Over the past year, leaders in the West have tried to cajole China to help them end the Ukraine war. Needless to say, those efforts turned out to be futile only until last month. This was when China launched its charm offensive, primarily with Wang Yi's Europe tour last month. One that culminated with Wang Yi meeting the Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Soon after, Beijing released two position papers. The first offered the Chinese solution to the war, and the other outlined China's plan for world peace. These largely reiterate China's talking points from the past year, calling for respect for sovereignty, for Ukraine, and the protection of national security interests for Russia. They also oppose the use of unilateral sanctions by the United States. Interestingly, Russia's government had welcomed China's peace plan in a 12-point document. But reportedly, Kiev is being cautious about Beijing's involvement. That's because the plan has no clause on the withdrawal of Russian troops from all Russia-occupied territory in Ukraine. Ironically, that's a key Ukrainian criterion for any peace deal. So what are the hopes for China as far as mediating this war is concerned? Also, both sides, Ukraine and Russia, have left victory for the battlefield, and neither side has shown an inclination to stop fighting. Beijing, nevertheless, has an active interest in bringing an end to the conflict, simply because the war has put Beijing in a precarious situation. It has forced Xi Jinping to balance China's no-limits partnership with Russia and his own close relationship with Vladimir Putin. This against increasing distrust and tension with the United States and its allies. But mediating the war is going to be a tricky tightrope walk for China. One that has already been pragmatically calculated by Turkey, India, and Israel. Perhaps also explains India's non-aligned stance towards Russia and Ukraine. And that's why it would be interesting to see how far is China willing to go for its special friend Russia? Moreover, brokering peace in a war-torn Ukraine would be a taller task than the Saudi-Iran deal.